I really should have a checklist. Too many switches, too many buttons. All right, we're going to punch it up here a little bit and get our levels right. How's everybody doing tonight? All right, I'm going to open up the chat. Tonight, Joop's guitar has been here for some time. And I have tested this guitar and tested this guitar and tested this guitar, and I have wired it a couple different ways. I have landed on this particular wiring configuration, and I want to kind of show you the guitar. Here's the Joopster's guitar. Okay. It's a Schecter, and the Schecter had, if you're not familiar, it had a huge chip here on the corner, and I refinished and painted this and then blended it. That was kind of difficult. If you look really close, you can see there's a hump right there. I'm going to move it back and forth. You can see it kind of moves. It's not even. And you can tell because the surface kind of goes like that. That's because there's more finish right here, trying to blend that. But when you look at it, you can't tell. You can only see it if you get it right where a reflection is right on the tip. Right there, it kind of does kind of a whoop. We also reshaped the back of the neck on this guitar. And the neck on this guitar is 100%. If you're going to get a neck like this on any instrument, you're paying over $2,000 for it. We really went the extra mile on this guitar. You can go back and watch the videos on everything that we did to it. We also did some trick wiring, and I left the trick wiring. So I'm going to kind of go over some of the trick wiring that's in it. This guitar has 2 capacitors in it. It has a .022 and a .047. So in this position, okay, it's in .047 mode cap. When you pull the tone, push-pull up, it switches it over to a .022. It originally was a .033 and an 047, so I have made that change. Okay? When you pull this push-pull, it takes the Jason Becker humbucker to a true single coil. There is no tap here. And I have it to where when you pull that, it takes, it's this pickup and this pickup in the second position, and it creates it and it makes it noise canceling. Okay, so it kind of plops it. This pickup in here is a DiMarzio Area 51 that I added. Okay, and this is a noise canceling pickup as well. It's a stacked pickup, so it's a single coil on top of a single coil. And I want to kind of go over some sounds with it. Tonight, I'm going to switch cameras. Tonight, we are playing the rack mount amplifier. And again, I've made another mic change. So each week, I'm trying to get a little better. The SM57s are pretty much in the exact same location they were last weekend, but I have moved the off-axis mics. I'm only using one microphone. That microphone is 16 inches away from the cabinet, okay? And it's dead center because that is a stereo cabinet. Something that I forgot to do, the wing rack is stereo, okay? Every input is stereo, okay? So it splits it and sends it to 2 channels. I forgot that my cabinet was stereo. So my 2 SM57s now are panned left and right. So there is imaging now. So let's turn this thing on. We go down to the bridge position. All right, and tonight I am going to mute this, and I want to play a little bit on this guitar. I think the settings are just about right. So what I need to do is mute this mic, and I'm going to punch up the other one just real quick. Let me go over to my microphone. I don't know. It seems like it's right. It definitely has a much better sound now. I am very happy with it, but I am not the owner of this guitar. Joop is. So Joop needs to figure out whether or not he likes it.
Joop said sounds awesome on this end.
It does sound much better. It now has CTS push-pulls in it, okay? The CTS push-pull pin configuration is a little different, and one of the issues I was having was to get the dual cap mod to work with the Barnes. I'm not saying that you can't do it, but my little squirrel brain didn't want to sit there and do a bunch of X patterns on it. And the CTS, the way they have theirs figured out left and right, the left side of the pot is not exactly like the right-hand side of the pot. So they've made some provisions there for doing specialty things like that. That pot lend itself better to this particular modification. I do want you to hear it, though, in the .022 setting. It does make a little bit of a difference. Now, granted, I want to say something, guys. You know, well, a lot of people modify guitars. I love modifying guitars, too. And as I order parts, I hear this thing. Oh, it's a tone cap. The tone that you get with this cap. I'm calling BS for one major reason. Anything that goes through the cap goes to ground. That's its job. It's to bleed off signal. So do not fall for this, the tone of this capacitor. Anything going through that cap goes to ground. You do not hear it. The advantage on buying high quality capacitors is percentage of tolerance, okay? If you work on a lot of guitars, you want parts that stay very consistent. And consistent quality means higher tolerances. So a 10% tolerance cap, that's a good cap. Now, whether it's a big fat one and it's 500 volt or 250 volt, you see these big orange drop capacitors, you don't need that. We're talking milliamps in a guitar. If you've got a 5 volt cap, you could probably go down to 1 amp, okay? It's going to be fine. You don't need these you know, you don't need these huge there's no power here. It's passive. So when people open up guitars, they say, "Oh, look at that little tiny cap." Well, the voltage is fine. Okay, you don't need a 250 volt cap there. So I want everyone to understand that a lot of stuff that we have been told in guitars is kind of BS. And I'm not saying that some caps sound, I mean, I get it. You can get an 047. It's a little different if it's oil or this or that. And that's just the way it bleeds off the signal. I'll leave it up to you guys to determine whether you like an orange drop or you like a carbon or you like an oil. You know, I like oil or I like orange drops. Okay, those are the two that I like. Oil, a nice oil capacitor, you're going to spend $20 for it. It's up to you. Is it worth that 1% difference, paying $20 versus paying, you know, maybe $8 for a nice high quality one? I'm not going to say one way or the other because I use the oil ones in some of my guitars. I'm using them in customers' guitars, and I do it because I know it's the best. It's the best that I can do. So let's switch this thing over. I want to do the .022, and I'm going to turn this mic off again. This is the .022 cap. I always miss that right when I'm really jamming. You miss that harmonic, and you think you're doing good. You reach over and you grab it, and it ain't there. That's the .022. How much difference is there? I think there's a little difference in the lower when you're chugging, and I'll switch it back and forth, and hopefully you can tell the difference. And just so you guys know, the lock nuts are loose. If your tremolo is right, you shouldn't have to lock the lock nuts. All right, we're going to do the little ditty so you all can hear the articulation of the humbucker. I think it sounds pretty good. It's articulate, it's mean sounding, it's got decent output. Now I want to go over the other pickup that we put in the guitar. This is a chirpy little guy. It's chirpy, and it's also got some push to it. For a single coil pickup, I'm not changing the volume. All I did was switch it to the Area 51. Check this thing out. I'm going to turn this mic off. It's really a unique sounding pickup. The DiMarzio Area 51, it lends itself. It's a little too much gain for it, but if you're into like the bluesy high gain, you know, imagine Stevie Ray Vaughan with a with a let's say an ADA and a real high power amplifier and some. Yeah, a little more kick, and that's what that pickup really reminds me of. It's got a chirpy sound to it.
Kurt said the single sounds killer, just too much gain, but the tone is higher.
Yeah, the gain knob is way over there. That's what I was saying. That pickup lends itself to less gain, but it is stupid sounding on like, see, I'm in the Friedman side of my preamp. If I switch over to the Sedano, it is stupid sounding. The Sedano's a more creamier distortion, and it really comes to life with the creamier stuff. I dig play. I'm getting more and more into that style of music, and that doesn't mean that I'm not, you know, liking how I normally play. I just find myself, I'm really digging the high gain, well, we'll call it high gain blues type stuff, and not like blues type rock. More, I guess, Greg Howe had a kind of a bluesy jazz thing going on when he was younger. I'm nowhere near Greg Howe, but kind of like that style where you're playing right on the edge of being out of tune, and you kind of pull it back, and just Greg Howe is phenomenal. He's one of my favorite guitar players. If you guys don't know who Greg Howe is, check him out. Every album is just, I mean, it's stupid good. It really is. But I got this thing back together, and I do have some bad news, though, for Joop. The CTS pots is a different spline count than the Barnes, so I've got to order you some control pots. There were silver ones on it, and I'm thinking, looking at this thing with the black and the stainless steel and the white pick guard, it's got a black little knobby piece right there on the 5-way. I'm thinking that maybe some black knobs for it instead of the chrome ones. It had smoke chrome. What was originally on the guitar. It has smoke chrome tremolo, smoke chrome tuners. But I'm kind of thinking the black would be kick butt on this guitar since everything else is done. And this guitar also has monster bolt stainless steel nuts on the lock nut. And this is a R, I forget, this isn't the R2, it's extra thick that I milled down.
Honeytop said a little gain, back off the volume a bit, and that thing will be in its happy place.
Yeah, let me turn the gain back on the Friedman. I'm just gonna take a wild guess. The Friedman's a high gain amp, so it's set at about 1030. So let's see what it does at 1030.
Joop said that sounds good, Avery. Yes, the black would be good.
Yeah, I think the black would kick ass on it. That's still a lot of gain.
Honeytop said yes.
Yeah, it's still a lot of gain. Let me try this gain setting.
Still too much gain.
Yeah, still too much gain. I'm really trying to figure out that. Guys, it's the same basic structure as my ditty. So I'm trying to take like a hard rock ditty and really bluify it. Let me cut it back a little bit more. I can switch to the Sedano, I guess. I haven't used the Sedano side in a while, so this may be like way low on volume. All right, let's try that. All right, let me give it more push on the amp side. Hold on. I haven't used the Sedano side in a while. It's not. I'm not getting enough output.
Do you have a chorus effect in the signal?
Do I have a what, hon?
A chorus effect.
Yeah, there is a chorus. Yeah, I can't. There is a chorus in the mix. Just so you guys know. Me playing guitar without a chorus? Come on, really?
Kurt said Avery quit tweaking knobs and just play it. It sounds good.
Yeah, the difference in the Sedano, the Sedano right there is only at like 10.5 on the gain. It's like 1030. It still has a lot of a push and a lot of gain. The Friedman is just really fuzzy sounding, if that makes sense, and it gives it that new modern, if for my kind of playing, I don't use it that much, but this distortion here and this distortion level, it's really about perfect. And there's still a lot of gain. Now, this mic here is influencing it, so I'm going to cut this mic off. Got a nice sound to it. I really do like it. So I think a lot of the issue I've been having, guys, maybe I'm just using too much gain. I mean, how can you say more gain is better? More is better. What did Dave Einstein? How can less be more? More is more. I love that. There was someone was interviewing him, and he was like, "Yeah, people are saying, oh, less, it's so much more." And he goes, "No, less. How can less be more? More is more." And the guy just shreds. That's why he says that. But I like the way it sounds, man. I'm definitely digging it. So I think we'll start doing more with the Sedano. I always forget. Like I said, guys, I'm quite fortunate. I have on this rig, it has 5 channels. So I have 2 Friedman channels, 2 Sedano channels, and of course I have the Art channel, which now Kurt is throwing popcorn at the screen going boo. But there it is, a 5-channel amp, and if I actually took the time and set it up, the Friedman and the Sedano are MIDI capable, so I could program like a high gain Friedman and a medium gain Friedman, a high gain Sedano, and like a light crunch Sedano, and do whatever with the Art. Maybe do a clean sound out of the Art. It comes down to time. All last night I was down in the basement working on guitars, and then all day today I was in the basement working on guitars, and I actually took an hour for myself, and I did start working on my RGA. So if anyone has the RGA and you're thinking about putting push-pull pots on it, I'm not going to say they don't fit, but you have to be perfect. Everything has to be on the front of the CTS pot, because I'm using push-pulls. There can be nothing on the side, okay? The route is so tight, it slides down the sidewalls of the route and out the hole. It is that tight. There is no wiggle room. You cannot move the pot. The route kind of goes like this, and the pot is literally touching the sidewall all the way down. And that's on the tone location. The volume location isn't bad. So you guys might want to, if you have an RGA and you're thinking about modifying it, maybe go in there and clear it out 1/16 of an inch and give you a little bit of a room for wires and stuff to go past. It, like I said, it does work, but it's really tight. The next thing I'll say on the RGA, I am not a fan of the box switch that is in that guitar. It is an Ibanez part. It's an Ibanez proprietary switch. It says Ibanez on the PC board. And I guess it is designed that way to make ease of wiring. It actually has a ground post to ground all the electronics to a central grounding location. It has a hot feed and a direct feed. I mean, it's cool, but looking at the switch on the side, there's these two little half moons, and there's two pieces of plastic that ride in those half moons, and that's what controls the switch lever. I can see where that would wear really fast. So if you have an RGA, an Ibanez RGA, please post in the comments down below. How long have you had it? And are you experiencing slop in the switch? Mine has no slop in it. It's pretty much a brand new guitar. But after looking at how the box switch is made, I think the printed circuit section is quite cool. How they've centralized the wiring for production and manufacturing. I dislike the plastic pins coming out through the metal piece, and it's using those as a guide pins for the switch. So if you have one and you've noticed a little slop in the switch, please comment down below. How long have you had the guitar? Have you had no problems with it and you've had it 5 or 6 years? I don't see any wear on mine, but again, it's brand new. And yes, I am going to put that switch back in the guitar. It still works. We're going to see. Now, I'm going to qualify something. I'm putting push moles in. Devastator's guitar, his Iceman, had a cheaper box switch in it, and it worked fine in the guitar as long as it was in humbucker mode. That's how that guitar was wired. When I tried using that switch and I went to single coil mode on his new pickups, the 60 cycle hum and what the pickup field creates really messed with that switch. Okay, so I'm going to put the factory Ibanez switch back, and we're going to see how well does the switch work. And the reason I think it'll be okay, again, this switch they're going to use in multiple guitars. It has spots where you can solder the wires, almost like a CTS push-pull pot, where you can, if you want to do phase, out of phase, like let's say your fourth position goes out of phase, there are jumper locations on the PC board. So you can run the green, the white, the red, and the black to certain ports, and the switch will allow it to do in phase or parallel without necessarily putting a push-pull in. So I get why Ibanez did it. It's one part. They can shove that in the guitar, and they can use it for a bunch of different pickup configurations.
Brad Rocker says, what is your rack with 2 Friedmans and 2 Sodanos in it?
Yeah, let me switch over to the other camera. So if you look, there's an applied research technology unit. It's a black 2U unit, pretty much in the center. That's right above my silver preamp. Okay, right above the ART unit is a Synergy SYN2, and that's a dual bay module. So on the left-hand side, I have a Friedman BE DLX Deluxe, and on the right-hand side, I have a Sodano Slow. Okay, and each one of these modules have 2 channels. Now, my Sodano module is the old module, and both channels share the same EQ. The new one actually has independent EQ. The drawback is, right now I can buy this particular module on Reverb for $199 because a lot of people are selling them. To get the new one that they actually added an EQ, 3-band EQ on each channel. So that's my preamp right there, my main preamp. I do have another tube preamp in the ART SGX 2000. That's the pink and black unit below that. That one has the ADA mod, and it's using two 12AX7s. And it also has a solid state preamp in it. It's not digital, it has a solid state preamp. The preamp underneath that, the silver 1U unit, that's an applied media research unit. PV bought them out. And that is a line tube amp. So it shares one 12AX7 for warmth and then has one 12AX7 per side. And it is a stereo rig. So basically it just warms the signal. If you have digital effects, you're going to run your digital effects and then run your digital effects into this. And it takes the digital harshness out of it. And then you bring it back into your effects loop. Below that, there's a black unit with red sides. That is a BBE 362 sonic maximizer. And no, it does not just have a low contour, as some people claim it has. This one has no level adjustment. So the knob on the left is a low contour, and the knob on the right is a high contour. Okay. Now this unit affects the left and right side equally, so you can't change your right bias to your left bias. I didn't feel the need of that. The bottom unit is a BK Butler Pro Valve 46L6 power amp made by TubeWorks. Awesome power amplifier. And the very, very top unit is a Line 6 Relay 90. And it has been updated to the newest architecture, which is sped spectrum. So it hops frequencies. So it spins about 1 millisecond on every frequency, and then it changes frequency. And it runs at 2.45 gigahertz and 6.5 gigahertz. So now it doesn't flip gigahertz. It'll stay either at 2.5, 5, or 6.5. But it'll switch frequencies inside that gigahertz, inside that group, if that makes sense. Never had a problem with it. Stupidly good. And then above that, you'll see I have another SGX 2000. That's not an Express. That's an original unit, but it has the Express EEPROM in it. That's my backup. And then I have another Applied Media Research inline tube amp. That's a backup. So that's my rack mount rig. The only thing new in that rig is the Synergy rack mount unit. You know, a lot of people say, well, it's not a real Friedman. It is a Friedman. Friedman designed it. You know, Mr. Sedano designed that one. If you bring a Friedman BL DLX in here and you set it side by side, is there going to be a difference? Maybe a little bit. There's more controls on the other one, so you can probably get in between settings. But it sounds like a Friedman. It's a Friedman. The Sedano sounds like a Sedano. That's because it's a Sedano. So instead of me going out and buying a $4,000 or $3,500 Friedman head, I think this is awesome. Instead of me going out and buying a $3,000 Sedano head, I think this is awesome. So let's say best case scenario, a Sedano slow and a Friedman BE would probably cost me, we'll say, we got good deals. Let's say after tax, $5,000 for both those heads. I have $900 in the rack module and then $400 in each unit. I can buy a lot of modules for the price of those two heads. I can get a diesel module. I can get the Mesa module. Now Marshall makes a module for it. So I'm thinking about getting the Marshall module for it. And the module I really want to get is the B-Man. It's a Fender Bassman module. That's the one I really want. But you know, it's good. It's fine. If I do any changes to my unit, what you're hearing is archaic effects. I'm running 8-bit and 16-bit effects. So a lot of people used to post, you know, oh, you're running art junk, it's 8 or 16-bit. A lot of people here just said it sounded good. A lot of times this new 64-bit stuff, 32-bit stuff, you're chasing a sound with something that didn't exist. They got that sound because of the stuff they used at the time. So a lot of people are like chasing the Brown sound or chasing Dawkins sound. Well, they didn't have plugins. They didn't have the stuff we have. So there was limitations. And some of the sound that you hear are artifacts due to the effects they were using. So keep that in mind when you're chasing something. You know, it doesn't have to be a 32-bit, 64-bit, 24-bit. You can get away with a 16-bit, especially if you're playing that kind of music. You know, do I need to upgrade mine? Sure, I'd love to have. I listen to these Strymon pedals and these Strymon units and some of the new units like the H9000. They're freaking phenomenal. An H9000 rack mount unit's like $6,000. I'm not going to spend $6,000 on a reverb delay unit. I'm just not. I don't see the point on it. I'm sure if you got a studio and it just has to be dead perfect, I get it. But in me, listen, you hear that artifact in the background? That's USB interference from my cables. So there's no sense in me going overboard on certain things. The amp sounds really good. I played it out for many years, and I would have no issues at all playing anywhere with that amplifier. You know, I'm going to send a pretty much dry signal to the sound guy anyway, so it's not going to matter that I'm running 8-bit and 16-bit. He's going to get a dry mix from the Friedman, you know, down to the art. The art's going to shoot out something with no effects. That way, the sound guy can apply effects that he feels works with the band. So the effects that I'm using, that I'm going to hear, I'm okay with. I'm going to go out to a little powered monitor. I'll hear my effects. The sound guy is going to get a raw signal with no effects. He can do what he wants with it. Hopefully he does a good job. If he doesn't, that's the point. You know, that's the mercy you're under when you play somewhere. But for me, I think it's okay. I like it. And I'm not putting anyone down buying heads. I think we're all working very hard for our money. And if you can afford it, sure, go out and buy a Friedman head. I'd love to have a Dirty Shirley. I just can't spend that kind of money on it. But I'd like to have one. I'd like to have a BE too. I mean, those two amplifiers would be $6,000. I can't justify $6,000 on two amplifiers. I'd like to have an Amplified Nation amp too. Again, I can't justify the cost. There's a lot of good equipment out there that'll get this guy where he needs to be without spending that kind of money. Especially doing YouTube. I need to be able to do a bunch of different things.
Kurt says, Avery, bits don't matter in a live setting. No one can tell the difference.
Yeah. I think in here, through me listening to it, like I can hear the difference in the plug-in effects in my wing rack. When I plug I got a little Friedman BE Mini, which is the solid state pedal that they put a Class D amp in. I plug into that and I come out of the send on the effects loop and I go right into the wing rack. And I apply plugins in the wing rack. And you would be surprised how good that little Friedman sounds using plugins and then direct to the interface.
Blue Mox says, Avery, I have a comment about USB cables. You can get really good shielded ones for not a lot of money. Some people poo-poo them, but they do help out with background noise.
Yeah, I've been looking for a couple. There's a couple on Amazon that claim they're shielded, and they seem to have pretty good reviews. And I'm looking for reviews from people like me. So two of the products actually have people saying they're using them, you know, on interfaces and stuff like that, and it greatly reduced that clicking noise that I get in the background. But it has gotten better. I am making progress, if that makes sense. I mean, I made a lot of changes at one time, and it was one of those things I couldn't not do it that way. I couldn't just flip-flop boards. I had to make a couple different changes all at the same time. So I would say the first 4, 5, maybe 6 streams, it was a little rough. Plus, I was learning the unit. I got a little bit better handle on it and how it works and its quirks. So I'm getting a little better at it, and I want to learn more. The wing is an extremely powerful unit, and I'm using about 1% of it. But that 1% is still more than 100% of what my Mackie was capable of doing. So that tells you how awesome it is. I had the Mackie maxed out. It couldn't do anymore. I still have channels. And I don't have my keyboard plugged into it. I don't have but I got 3 channels, and everything is stereo. So I technically speaking, I could take those microphones and put them in a split box, and I could go TRS in on one channel. I wouldn't need to tie up 2 channels. I'm tying up 2 channels to do stereo. Well, each channel is stereo. I just need to combine those signals to tip ring sleeve and plug it in one channel. I'm done. So I'm actually, a lot of my channels for like my rig, I'm using 12 channels. Technically, I only need 6. I just don't have the cabling and the boxes to go and wire that way. So if I run out before I buy a Connect box or something like that, I will consider maybe doing that. If not, and it's going to cost me $300 or $400 in more cables and boxes, why would I want to do it? For $400 or $500, I can get another 16 channel Stage Connect box and use the AES input and have 60 some inputs on my wing. So it really depends on what you need and how much it's going to cost to fix what you have versus use what you have and buy an additional part, if that makes sense. So I haven't really looked into it to know which way's best. Right now, it's fine. I don't even have I have a Motu MIDI Express XT. I haven't even had the time to get the time clock, the world time clock, and that synced and communicating with the wing. So I want to use that as my global time clock, and everything follows it, if that makes sense. Who knows? It's going to be a long time. I want to do some upgrading on some cameras. So it's baby steps. Okay, guys, you've heard me talk about Jackson. Okay, everyone knows how I feel about Jackson. And everyone knows that I have been telling you guys for quite some time, if you wanted a quality Jackson at the Virtuoso price, you better jump on it. Well, red flag. I'm telling you, guys, you better look now and buy what's there, because that guitar is no more. Jackson is eliminating the affordable American-made guitar. Now, I told you guys, I told you all when I reviewed that guitar, either the price is going to go up or they're going to realize that they can't manufacture this guitar in the United States and make money at this price point. So they're not moving it, they're just not going to do it. The bolt-on Virtuoso is done. I am 99.9% sure there will not be another production run. I spoke to one of the distributors today, or vendor today, and they can't get them. It does not allow them to order the guitar. It seems like that would be why, if you remember 2 or 3 weeks ago, we saw some closeouts, like $1,750, $1,850 for this American-made Jackson. I'm not saying that's a cheap guitar, guys. What I'm saying is if you want a high-quality American instrument at an affordable price, I would suggest you go out and get one quickly. I think what is at the store now, whatever hasn't sold, that's going to be the end of it. And that's a shame because I really like the guitar. The red Jackson that I reviewed, it was a freaking nice guitar. $2,100 I know is not chump change for a guitar, but when you look at the 1500 bridge on it, Seymour Duncan's, it's 7-piece neck, nice, incredible fretwork, incredible finish, nice Godot locking tuners, not the inexpensive ones, the $150 Godot, their top of the line Godot tuner. Just a solid instrument, and at that price, I can kick myself now because I didn't buy the cable. I didn't buy the guitar. So that's Jackson news. It seems that I was correct that I didn't figure that would last long, and it's a shame. Jackson, you know, they're going to build what sells, so that tells me it didn't sell. Now, why it didn't sell? Maybe not enough people like me got their hands on it, influencers, that could say, look, this is a great American-made guitar. You need to buy this.
Did you return the white Fender Telly?
I did. It is no longer with us. Wah, wah, wah. But, guys, the Telly, that's a nice guitar. Nice freaking guitar. And they've made improvements. That's what I want to see. I know a lot of people don't like Fender. But when we reviewed the first standard, there was no shielding paint, and there was a lot of 60 cycle hum on that guitar. So Fender has added full-size Alpha pots. I like Alpha. Alpha makes a solid pot, okay? They've also put shielding paint in the cavity, and the wiring is twisted together, and it's shielded. It's a nice cavity. It's nicely done.
BTM missed what you said about Jackson. He said Jackson's stopping U.S. production.
No, they're not stopping U.S. production, but they're going to stop affordable USA production. And I knew that was going to happen. They're not going to make the Virtuoso anymore. So it would seem. Vendors can't order the product anymore. And it's been that way for a while. And I made a comment a little while ago that there are a couple places were blowing them out. And at first I'm like, okay, there's new colors coming out. You see that a lot. They'll go, okay, we want to blow out the old colors. We're going to come out with some new colors. That doesn't seem to be the case, that the guitar is going to go bye-bye. And I reviewed one that I just fell in love with. I thought it was a great guitar. And I'm sure I could have talked to Shenandoah Music. I probably could have got that guitar for $1,950 or $1,900. They would have given me 10% off. I could kick myself in the butt for not getting it. That was a really well-crafted guitar. And if Jackson's not your sauce, I get it. Jackson, believe it or not, really isn't my sauce. Linnell likes them. I don't really own a Jackson, but that Jackson was really nice. I mean, I can pick up a guitar if it's a well-made guitar. I can look and go, this is a heck of an instrument. This was well-made, well-crafted, and not only all that, it fit me. When I played it, it felt natural. It just felt like an extension of me. So when you find guitars like that, you need to jump on them. That's just one of those things. Maybe one will cross my path and I'll pick one up. But for a bolt-on Jackson, USA made, they were phenomenal guitars. And there's still some out there, guys. So if you want one, I would reach out to your local shop that has it and see if they'll cut you a deal with it. Because once they're gone, I think they're gone. All right, next thing. You know, you guys, I'm always talking about adding an EQ pedal between the guitar and the amplifier. And I picked up something really, really cheap, okay? And my intention is not to keep it, but it is on loan until the one that I ordered comes in. So this is what I picked up. A 10-band sonic cake. And I'm going to use that between my guitar and the amplifier. And I'm gonna start tinkering around with it. I'm gonna start doing some medium tone shaping, you know, right out of the guitar. Now, if you're wanting to know what I ordered a 10-band MXR. Okay, and I did not get hurt. If anyone wants this pedal, okay, what'd we pay for it? 35?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, so it's a little more than 35 bucks. So if you guys want this pedal, so instead of me returning it for a credit, okay, you all reach out to me when the MXR comes in, 35 bucks. Well, it'll be 40 because I had to pay tax. So 40 bucks if y'all want it. I'm going to use it until my other pedal comes in. And is there going to be a difference? I don't know. I've heard people talk about this company. So I don't know if they're good, bad, or indifferent. So we are going to do a review on this little guy coming up. If anyone has any experience with them, please make a comment in the comment section down below. Do you have any experience with Sonic Cake and their 10-band EQ? So I got that today, and I actually had to go to Shenandoah. I went last night, and we didn't plan on going today, but when I got down to the shop, I had to go. I didn't have a choice. I thought I had more guitar strings than I had, so I had to run and pick up. How many sets did I get? I got 8 sets of strings today. So that should get me the next 2 weeks, just with the guitars that are downstairs. I went to string the instrument, and I'm like, I'm out of strings. I did have NYXLs, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to put NYXLs on it. So I put XLs on it, on Joop's guitar. I'm kind of getting away from the NYXLs. I think they're a little bright. And everything matters, guys, just like strings. And I went to the store and they had these boomers. Were they boomers? Slinky boomers?
I
think that's what they were. And they said that they had really good success with them, but they were a little, you know, they did brighten the instrument. And I'm kind of like, well, that's kind of not what I want. If I'm going 4610s, and you're saying these are a little on the bright side, so they're probably going to sound just like my 9 to 42s. So I'm like, nah, because I wanted to work on my Ibanez. So I'm like, yeah. So I bought a set of XS to put on the Ibanez, 10 to 42s. So I've got those on a couple other guitars, and I'm kind of digging the XS, and I'm really liking the XLs too. The XL strings, the XS strings. Don't know what you guys use, but I'm liking the D'Addario XL, XS, and of course, the issue is String Joy. I like them, but my closest String Joy dealer, unless I order them online, is in Harrisonburg, and I always forget to order them. So I'm completely out of String Joy strings, but I did like them when I had them on my guitars. So you guys can tell me what kind of strings you're using in the chat. I'm kind of digging the XS right now and the XLs. A plec. Yeah, I think I would get it plecked also. You know,
Well, Honey Chop said his next guitar might be a Charvel Pro Mod DK24 HSS.
I would look really closely at that Charvel because I put one on layaway. When you're looking at the Charvel Honey Tap, I want you to do this. I want you to grab the guitar, and I want you to look down the frets, okay, down the neck. I picked up 5 at the store, and they were not good. And I don't even know how you mess that up because they use a chamfering file to come in and cut that. And it it was pretty shabby work. I like Charvel, but it seems like they're just using the name. I think you really got to spend big money to get a good Charvel. I hate to say that. And the one I was looking at was $1,200. And it was a humbucker single. It was a beautiful guitar. I looked at 3 of them, both at that store, and they said, well, they had one. This was Guitar Center. They said they had one at Seven Corners, so we drove over and looked at the one at Seven Corners. It was the exact same way. And I was kind of like, I can't spend $1,200 on a guitar that they can't set the frets in right. That's just me. Did they play good? Yeah, I thought they played okay. They played good. I was going to buy one, and I liked it. And then I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at the fit and finish on this thing, and I'm seeing just little things here and there. It's $1,200. You know, I've reviewed guitars, so I'm sitting here looking at this thing like, well, I've seen a lot of guitars over $600 and $700 that have a far better fit and finish than this Charvel. Maybe they just had a bad production run, but I didn't care for it. We ended up not getting the guitar. We ended up buying something else.
Honey Tub said, yeah, I think you're right. Junk fretwork on the Charvels.
Yeah, it's just what I saw. I haven't looked at one. How long ago has that been, hon, since I took that guitar off? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Kurt said Charvel dropped the ball on their QC years ago. Yeah,
that's a shame. I always wanted a Charvel. Charvel was like Jackson. It was like my dream guitar. It was like, oh, wow, it's a Charvel. And I loved it because they got away with using the Fender headstock long before Fender ever bought them. And that was one of the things that I liked. To me, when I looked at it, it was like, ooh, that's a smack in the face to Fender. You know, come to find out, they were just taking Fender guitars and modifying them anyway. That's how they kind of started. So that headstock was kind of their thing anyway. That's how they started. I can't see how they got away with it for as many years as they got away with it. Now they can because Fender owns them. So I think pretty much all those are made in the Mexico plant, the mid-grade ones. And I think some of them are made in Indonesia. I could be wrong. You guys can let me know. Yeah, the Model 6. Yeah, exactly. Would have loved to own a Model 6. Yeah. That's the Model 6, and believe it or not, the original Kramer Beretta, the single pickup Beretta. Wanted all those. And then I think the Stage Master that Kramer made was another awesome freaking guitar. And of course, the Dinky from Jackson was stupid. There was just so many. I don't know if you guys remember Zion made a 29 fret guitar. I wanted a Zion so bad. This would have been probably 90. There was just so many awesome guitars, but they were unreachable. That Zion back then was over $2,000. I mean, it was crazy. I remember Shandor Music was a Kramer dealer, and I remember wanting to get a Beretta, single pickup Beretta, volume, Floyd Rose, German Floyd Rose. It was $1,400. This was in like 87. That was crazy. It was crazy money. I bought my PV Nitro for $550. Active electronics, exact same single pickup configuration with a Kahler 2700 bridge on it. Why did I buy the PV? It was more than half the price. It was a third the price of the Kramer. I was playing dive bars, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to play this PV. And I thought the PV played nice. I walked in the store, and the owner at the time, Roger, he said, man, I got a guitar over there you got to play. And he knew I wanted a Beretta. He goes, it's a Beretta killer. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do they make now? You know, I can't afford it. And he walked over and he grabbed this thing and he handed it to me. I'm like, it's a freaking PV. And he looked at me and he goes, just play the guitar. Play it and see what you think of it. And I immediately fell in love with it. It played that good. And I remember everyone laughed at me when I was, oh, you play a PV. And I'd hand it to him. And I'm like, man, you need to play it. And they're like, man, that guitar plays good. And they'd hand it back, go, but it's a Peavey. And it just wasn't cool to play a Peavey. It was cool to have a Charvel, like a Model 6. A Jackson V, that was, whoo, you know, an offset V, that was the thing, you know. I just never got into it. I just never could. I couldn't make enough money to you know. I remember buying. There's Kurzweil used to have a 5-pound hot dog in a big box. It was $7. I'd buy that and 3 loaves of bread, and that's all I ate for like 6 straight months because I couldn't afford any more than that because of my rent and my electric bill. So I ate hot dogs. I couldn't turn around and buy a $1,300 guitar. It was tough. When I was 18, 19, 20, it was tough. You know, it was hard on me. I had no money. I had no furniture. I had a beanbag in the corner, and that was it. It was bad. You know, bachelor life. All right, guys, we've been on for 1 hour and 8 minutes. If you don't know, you don't have to be a subscriber to chat. That doesn't mean I don't want you to subscribe. We're trying to grow the channel. So please go down, hit the thumbs up button for me, and consider subscribing. There's a ton of information on this channel, from wiring guitars, sanding guitar necks to new profiles, changing tuners, hot rodding Floyd Rose's bridges, series parallel type wiring, you name it. It's on this channel, along with over 70 guitar reviews, from budget guitars all the way up to $3,000 PRSs. So we have really covered a lot of different guitars. I'm sure there's something in our review section that you guys would be interested in. When you go to the main channel, it always goes to videos. Make sure you click on live. We do a lot of live reviews now. They're not 20-minute reviews. You know, they're 2.5-hour reviews, but we check everything, and there's no squirrel mode. I can't edit it, so when I'm putting it back together, guess what? You got to watch me put it back together. That's okay. It's a review that's in your face, and you get to see everything just unfold just as it's unfolding in front of me. So I kind of like doing that. Plus, it saves me a tremendous amount of time to edit. All right, guys, please go down and hit the thumbs up button. We are going to take our 5-minute break. If Vox is in the crowd, this is considered the Vox break because he plays ball with his dog during break. Last time his dog had passed out, he put a picture in Discord, and the dog had his feet up in the air. It was quite funny. He went to play ball, and the dog had already collapsed. He didn't make it to break time. All right, guys, go get something to drink, get a snack, hit the restroom, and we'll be back in a little more than 5 minutes. Thanks, guys. Okay, stop the presses right now. I need more information on a post that was just put up. I need to know more about this Eddie Van Halen mailbox. I wanna I wanna know, is it like a guitar body, or is it a Marshall head that the side unfolds and they put the put the mail in there? Is it a 5150 head that, you know, someone blew up and then you converted it into a mailbox? I want to know what is this thing? We always look at the chat, and I'm like, an Eddie Van Halen mailbox. I want to know what it is. I'm envisioning a 5150 head that unfolds, okay? And in the wintertime, it has some tubes in there. That way, when the mailman reaches in, it's all nice and warm for his hands. Yep, I have a picture of it in my Facebook page. All right, I may have to go check that thing out, man. I'm kind of curious what that looks like.
He said the paint scheme.
Oh, it's a paint scheme. So, oh, that would be kind of cool, the pinstripe. Yeah, you can put a picture of that in Discord. 100%. That I want to see that. It was hit several times. We live in the country. That's okay. You can call it the Frankenstrat mailbox now with all the dents. You got to get some wires hanging out of it. Put some old pickups, screw some old pickups to the side of it. Screw a quarter on the side. Put some reflectors on it, just like the guitar head. You could hot rod that thing up, man. Oh, and I was also, Blue Mock said he ordered a guitar and his wife had no clue it was a Frankenstrat. That's pretty funny, man. That's a good pull. I don't really have an EVH. I've played them at the store. The closest thing I've had to an EVH was the Firefly FFN. You know that, and that's not an EVH. It's not a HP2, and it's not a Music Man. I think if I personally was going to buy that type Eddie Van Halen guitar, I think you guys know I would lean towards the HP2. I would find me a nice quilt top PV HP2. They were phenomenal guitars. I know they go for stupid money, and that's the main reason why I don't buy one. They're just too expensive. Because of the Eddie Van Halen fans out there. They want the PV or they want the Music Man one. I still think those are the better instruments over the EVH branded stuff. You got to remember the EVH stuff it's Fender. So, yeah, it's made in the Mexico plant, the mid-grade, and yeah, everyone knows they've been having quality control issues, so I don't know how well the EVH stuff is holding up as far as QC, but Fender, ever since COVID, really has been having some QC issues. And I think the Fender that we just reviewed, the reason it's so good is Fender's been taken out of the equation. I hate to say that, but Cortex knows how to build a guitar. 100%. And, you know, what's funny is you'll talk to people and you say, have you ever seen a Cort guitar? Oh, I'd never play a Cort. And you look at them, they're playing a Paul Reed Smith or they're playing an Ibanez. It's like, you're playing a Cort right now.
Steve has posted a couple pictures of mailboxes and questions and topics.
Oh my gosh. Okay, let me go over to questions and topics. Oh, okay. All right. Let me switch views here. All right. So let's hit the first one. Oop, wrong button. Oh, you know what? I always get confused on which one to hit. Sorry, guys. So there's the first one. That's kind of cool. I like that. But it needs the reflectors and the quarter screwed on the side of it. Let's check out. Oh, okay. Now this guy put an old Floyd Rose And he's got the quarter on it. And I love the tremolo bar as the flag. Okay, this guy might be the winner. But I like the striping on the other one better. The first one, I think the striping on this one's better. This one needs the tremolo and the flag. I like the striping on that one better. Yeah, just two. I definitely like the flag with the tremolo bar, but I like the paint job on this one. This one is sharp. I could sport that. I could do that 100%. While we're in here, questions and topics. Now, Kurt put in a Strat, guys. So let's check this thing out. Everyone knows I always hit the volume knob. That's the main reason why I don't keep a Strat. So Kurt has modified one of his Strats, and he's put a on-off kill switch, and he's eliminated the tone. So now it's just volume and one tone. So I could definitely go for that. That might be a keeper guitar. And that's really the only reason why I don't keep them. I'm always hitting the volume knob. It's so close to the strings right here. And that's my only issue with it. And he's hidden the hole, putting the kill switch on it. I looked and I looked and I looked, guys, for a company that made a pick guard for the Strat that moved the tone up a little bit between the two tones, and moved the volume between the tone and the volume. You know, the only place I did reach out to Dylan Talk Stone. He says that if I told him the year, whether it was Mexico, Japan, you know, American, the drill pattern, he could make it. And then he could, you know, he's got a little NC laser cutter. So I didn't reach back out to him. It was going to be like $60. So maybe the next one I do, I'm sure I'll own another Strat in the future. So maybe the next one I'll do something like that. I know Fender has a Player 2 mod that they come out with a Floyd Rose. So if you guys are Fender Strat guys, the Player 2 modified series, they do make one now with the Floyd Rose. The issue is, I think it comes with the Floyd Rose Special. And I'm pretty sure the price point on that guitar is right around $1,200, $1,250. I don't know. Let me do a search real quick, guys. Let's see what that. Now that I brought it up, let's see if I can find it. Fender Player 2 modified. Let me scroll through here. I'll try to find it without boring you guys. Oh, well, you know, what the heck. We'll just switch right over. So we went to Sweetwater. Now, this is the guitar that I played the other day. This is I know, not everyone's into tellies. Nope, that's a single coil one. I did look at this one. They said that they could order this one because I told them I didn't really care for the humbucker. I wanted a telly, and I didn't order it because blind fingerboard. I probably wouldn't end up keeping it. Okay, here it is. Player 2 modified. So it's the Floyd Rose on it. $1,189. Let's check out the locking nut. It does have a string tree and a locking nut right there. Is it showing the tuners? Doesn't look like they show the tuners. Okay, let's check specs and see what tremolo this thing actually comes with. And it's a spec check. Body solid. It is made of alder. It's a gloss polymer. Colors dusk, modern C, bolt-on, radius is 12, rosewood fingerboard, dots, 25.5 scale length. It is running the Fender 2 noiseless Strat single coils. Okay, bridge pickup, modified humbucker. bridge and tailpiece right here. Yep, it is a Floyd Rose special. You know, I don't even know what to say about that. At that price point, that should really have an FR 1000 on it.
Unknown Rider says, what's the difference between getting a guitar from Sweetwater versus directly from the manufacturer? Example, Gibson.
Well, there's two ways to look at it.
Devastator said service after the purchase.
Yeah, service, you know, your local store hopefully will give you better service, okay? But here's the thing. Let's say I was a Fender dealer, okay? Fender is the worst at this, okay? So when Fender sells Shenandoah Music, let's say that Player 2 modified, okay? Their mark on that's going to be about 30% on a smaller vendor, 35 max, okay? The advantage to Fender and Gibson selling direct to you is they're not taking that 30% reduction in sales. They're going to sell it at a lesser price. They can do a sale, okay? Let's say it's a $1,300 guitar. Well, at $1,300, take 30% or 35% off of it. That's what Fender is getting when they sell it to the store. Well, if they sell it to you, if you don't get it on sale, they're getting full map price. So I don't understand. You know, Paul Reed Smith, you can like or dislike PRS all you want. Paul Reed Smith has said that he will never do that. He's not going to screw his vendors and the people that support and sell his products. His job is to manufacture the guitar, not to become a salesman. That's distributing. Send it out so people can sell his product. His job is to build the best possible guitar that he can build at whatever fixed price. He's not into, you know, selling the instrument. I agree with that. Just like when PRS had all these guitars after COVID, Paul reached out to these people and said, look, you need to mark these guitars down to this point. When we get it, you're not going to make much. We're going to kick you $100, okay, on your next order for each one that you sell at this price. Or you can discount them to this price. If you sell it at this, we'll kick it back on your next order. That's getting rid of all your inventory that didn't sell and getting it set up to where your new product line comes out and the market's not flooded with last year's model and the year before model. PRS leads on that. That's why you see right around Christmas and Black Friday, you'll start to see anything that PRS is overstocked on that didn't sell, you'll see them slash the price. They don't want that product, that 2024 or 2025 or this year 2026 model, sitting on the showroom or on a shelf in 2027. They want their new colors or whatever changes that come into effect, they want that shipping. So they're willing to say, okay, if you sell it to this, we'll kick it back to you on the next order. All right, I like that. That's a manufacturer thinking about the people that's selling its product. Now let's look at Fender, Fender.com. And I know Shenandoah Music. I've spoke to them about it. Fender.com will sit and do a sale on a guitar that is below the sale price that the vendor, their salespeople, can sell it for. You can't go below this price on any sale. We're not talking about map price. Fender say this is the map price, lowest advertised price, you know, and then you can do this sales price, okay? Well, Fender will turn around and just go, okay, we don't care, it's a $900 guitar, buy it this week, get it for $799 or whatever it is. But yet the dealers can't do that. And that's why you start seeing ProStar Audio and some of these other companies, oh, it's open box. That's how they're getting around the map price. So at some point, these people, they have to get rid of that product. But you still, even at open box, it isn't going to match the Fender sales price. Because that Fender sale price, they can lower that thing all the way down to the price that they'll sell it to the vendor for, which is 35% off the map price. Well, the vendor can't sell it to you for that unless they take a loss. And I'm not saying some vendors will take a loss, but they can't do it often. Fender, for them, it doesn't bother them. They can go 5% under. Well, they were making money selling it to the vendor at 35% off map. They're making money at that price. That's why they build guitars. So they can go to 40% off the map and still make money. Where the store, they can't. The $1,000 guitar, it's going to cost them $700 at 30%. They can't sell that instrument at $650. Fender can, because they manufactured it and they're making money selling it at $700. How much are they making? I have no clue. I don't know what Fender makes. It's more than 5%. I can guarantee it's more than that. It's got to be at least 30%, I would say. It's probably more like 50. I don't have a clue. I don't manufacture guitars. I manufacture other things. And we can't double our money. If we figure parts, labor, we can't double it. We would go out of business. But we would. There's another shop that would do the work at a lesser cost. So Fender is bad for it. So when you buy direct, you should be able to get a stupid good deal. If you can't get a stupid good deal directly from Fender or Gibson, tell them to go pound sand. I would almost tell them to go pound sand at map price, because they're making more money. And like Devastator said, you're not going to get the customer service. They're making 30% more on the guitar, and you're not going to get the customer service. And you might get better customer service if you have a really crappy local store. Paul Reed Smith reached out to Devastator after Z Sounds contacted him to make sure he got what he needed. But that's Paul Reed Smith. Would Fender do that? If one of Fender's retailers called Fender manufacturer and said, we got a client that just bought a USA guitar and the pickguard's bent, okay, would Fender reach out to the person that bought that guitar? I can bet you 1,000 donuts they wouldn't. But Paul Reed Smith did. He reached out to Devastator. And they got us the part in 2 days. And that wasn't Devastator talking to Paul Reed Smith. That was him talking to the people that he bought it from. They reached out to Paul Reed Smith, and they got that part to me in 2 days, going through all those channels. I guarantee if you contact Fender customer service, it might take you a day just to get a hold of somebody. So everyone's trying to make money. That's the thing. You know, when you got a manufacturer and then you got a distributor and then the distributor is selling to the store, there's layers of increases there. You're going to start seeing more and more manufacturers go direct. Why do you think Kiesel does what Kiesel does? You only see used Kiesels in stores because Jeff Kiesel doesn't want to lose 30% on his guitars. He's already scraping now. He's in California. So he can't afford to have that, let's say it's a $2,000 guitar. He can't do that. He can't. He can't do it. That's what, $1,400? That's what you have to sell it to the store for, so the store can make some money. So he sells direct to pocket all that, to keep his operation going in California. It's a very expensive state. And everyone says, oh, they're in California because of the wood species and this or that. This is coming from the tree huggers that are in California that won't even clear the brush in the forest so they don't have forest fires. So I don't believe anything about that. Oh, it's a better place to get wood. Well, if that was the case, they would clear out the forest and they wouldn't have so many damn forest fires. Yeah, I probably shouldn't say that, but this is a channel that just says the truth. There's some screws loose in California. You can't even spray nitrocellulose in California. Why would you start a manufacturing plant building high-end guitars in California with all the regulatory things, the high taxes, the cost of property, the cost of your machinery tax? It's insane to me. So you have him building in California. He can't afford to take 30% off of that guitar and then sell it to vendors. You're going to see more and more and more companies do it. Whether, Gibson, I didn't know Gibson was doing it. Evidently, Gibson now is doing it because someone asked the question. But that's why they're doing it. They can make more money.
Well, they were using Gibson as an example.
Yeah, they can make more money, guys. That's all that it's about. And you're talking about import? Well, they're importing it because it's less. Okay? They're manufacturing that guitar for less. So they even have a higher mark on that. So if you go to Fender.com and you're buying an import, they're doubling their money. And in the guitar world, doubling your money is not something that happens. But they can on an import because they're getting it at that's why Paul Reed Smith, Fender Custom Shop, Jackson Custom Shop, they're building those guitars to set a precedence. Oh, you like this guitar? It's $6,000. Oh, next year they come out with the import. It's going to be about $2,000. It's going to be about a third of the price of the U.S. They want you. They're steering you to buy that import. They make more money on the import. It's less overhead, less aggravation. That's just the way it is. I don't want it to be that way, guys. I'm a manufacturer. I make things. I take something that is worth nothing, a pile of wood, okay? It's just scrap wood. It's in the raw, and we have to take that and turn it into something valuable, okay? That someone wants to purchase. It's taking something that's, not desirable and trying to make it desirable, and that's what the guitar company's doing. They're taking just raw materials, and it's not as bad as it used to be because now you got tuner manufacturers, you got bridge manufacturers, you got pickup manufacturers, so they can source products to help them manufacture the guitar. It's not like Ford back in the days of Detroit where that plant made every component of that truck, and when it come out the other end, it was done. That hasn't been done in a long time. First things that happened, they outsourced this or that's where Kingsford started. Why is Kingsford? Well, what's Kingsford got to do with Ford? Kingsford was buying all the scrap from Ford making the spindles out of wood on the Model A's, and they were making charcoal briskets out of it. Hence, Kingsford. Now, what Kingsford did when they went to steel, I don't know. But that's how it started. They needed to do something with all this scrap wood that was no longer viable to make the spindles on the wheel hubs. Why do you see guitars with multi-piece bodies now? Well, they got to use that scrap. So they figure, okay, we can make a lesser expensive guitar and we can burn off this scrap. And you're like, well, the scrap costs money. It does and it doesn't. Look at it this way. They've allowed a blank to make X, like this body. If they cut X amount of material off that blank has already figured in the production cost of the previous model that was made. So that piece of wood has already been bought and paid for by the production of the other unit. After you make 50 or 60 of these, you got 50 or 60 cutoffs. Well, now you might be able to build 10 or 15 guitars. Bodies, if you glue them up. It's free material, technically. It's cutoffs. That's why you started seeing shiplap joints. Instead of using a large piece of maple and cutting back for the neck and then out like this, they said, okay, we need to use a thin piece of maple, and where the neck kicks, we're going to put a splice joint to get us that kick over on the neck instead of using a solid piece of wood. Now they can get 3 necks out of a core that used to make 1 neck. It's really that simple. You're going to see it in everything. Things aren't going to get more complicated. We talked about it in the last string, the shark thing. What you're going to see is faster and cheaper production methods. That's what sells. That's what manufacturers do. And if you think I'm wrong, you're joking yourself. We're old enough to look. VHS, Beta. Which one? VHS. What was better? Beta. DVD, Blu-ray, HD DVD, or movie disc? Which one? Blu-ray. HD DVD was better, but the movie disc was the best, and it died first. What was better? Tape or DCC? DCC. Nobody used it. It was too expensive. Why do you think CDs went away? Well, who needs a CD when I can put it on a little floppy? I don't need to carry all this stuff around. It's cheap. There's no manufacturing. You've already bought the hard drive. There's no material there. It's just a download. It works no matter what you think about. Look at what sells and what they claim is the best. And there was always something better, but it was too expensive and people bought the cheaper. Why do you think everyone craves budget guitars? It's cheap. And I'm not downing anybody for that. I buy cheap stuff too. But we can't sit and go, well, the manufacturing and the quality of these guitars have went down. Well, that's because it's our fault. Because we want cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Why did it leave the United States? We want cheaper, cheaper, cheaper. Why is it now 3 and 4 pieces on a guitar body? Well, we wanted cheap. Most of my guitars are at least 2 pieces. I don't think I own a 1-piece body guitar. I think my Schecter here is a 2-piece, and that's about the best guitar I have. I don't know what my Vandenbergs and my Peavies are. I don't know if they were using solid bodies or not. I know the neck's a 2-piece, but it wasn't done for cost savings. It's 2-piece like this, and there's no scarf joint. So they were using 2 quarter-sawn pieces glued together and then a tremendous amount of waste by the time they cut the angle out in the hot headstock. But they did it for strength because it's quarter-sawn. You know, they didn't have to piece it, but they did because it's stronger. I get that. I understand why that was done. At the time, being young, I didn't quite get it. I thought, oh, they did this to save money. Not in the way the Peavey did it. It actually cost them more money because they didn't need to piece it. It was already quarter sawn. It was already a strong piece of wood, but they went ahead and laminated it to make it even stronger. Why do you think Kiesel uses carbon fiber rods? They can now make the neck a little more stable and maybe not do this or this or this, or maybe use Kiesel's bad example because they use premium everything. But let's say Jackson. They started using carbon fiber rods. Well, now they can use a material that maybe wouldn't have worked in the custom shop. It wasn't a grade 5 material. Now they can use something a little cheaper and they can put carbon fiber rods on it and they can still get a solid, stable neck at a lower cost. Because that premium piece of wood is going to cost far more than 2 inexpensive carbon fiber rods. And don't let someone tell you carbon fiber is expensive. It's actually really, it's an inexpensive product. It really is. It's not an expensive product. So you're going to see more and more carbon fiber. If carbon fiber was such an expensive project, you wouldn't see these budget guitar companies making carbon fiber guitars and selling them for 150, 200 bucks. The whole thing's carbon fiber. How are they doing it? If carbon fiber is so expensive, how are they building a $200 carbon fiber guitar? Is it great carbon fiber? I'm sure it's not great carbon fiber, but it's still carbon fiber. So I guess end of rant, we got to watch what we ask for because we see it in the industry. We really do.
Mr. Fett says, does Avery remember when GM brought in the bean counter and there went GM worst cars of the era when the bean counters decided how to build GM?
That always happens. You know, when the people, the last company I worked for, I was the head engineer and AutoCAD guy. I did all the AutoCAD and all the engineering and all the CNC programming and PLC programming. I don't know it all. I don't. I know quite a bit, but I don't know everything. And I don't know the production floor. So I would always go out on the production floor and look at what was coming off the CNC machine. I'd ask the tech there, what problems are you having? What are you seeing? And why are we back sanding components off the CNC? And he would explain, well, I've got tear out. I've got hair. Okay. Why is a little hair sticking up on it? Do we need to do a down spiral bit? Do we need to increase the speed? Do we need to slow the head down? What do we need to do to where you're not taking these sheet goods off and having to manually sand the pieces because it's affecting the product?
We had a super chat from Devastator.
Ooh, thank you, Mr. Devastator. So after I was done there, I would go out on the floor where the guys were putting it together. And you'd listen to them. So I don't know who designed this, but you can't put this screw in here and attach this component to this component because this has to be screwed together first. And you'd look at it and go, yeah, you know you're right. It works in the model world, but in real life you can't assemble that because you got to assemble this and then put that in. So you make notes. The people on the field and people out on the floor assembling it have to tell the people in the office, this is a problem. We can't do this. We need to do this.
Mr. Fett said the bean counters were the accountants.
Yeah, bean counters are the accountants. But what I'm saying is the engineers do it too. First the bean counters, now the engineers. Now the engineers engineer it to where you can't even put it together. You know, Ford, I know my family's in Ford and a lot of automobile stuff. I love my brother to death, but I don't think he could change the oil in his Ford product, but he engineers them. And that's a scary thought. I really don't think he knows how to change the oil in his car. I could be wrong. But he's an engineer for Ford. That's scary. And the engineers that do know, they do know. They know this ZF10 transmission from Ford is... Toyota knows their 8-speed transmission is... It comes down to cost. Can they get it out of warranty? Toyota used to be different, but they're just like everybody else now. They don't care, just get it out of warranty. It's biting GM, the new LS engines. They're not having any problems with the vet engine. They're having the problem with that engine that goes in the trucks. And it's a machine tolerance. They were blaming bearings and this and that. It's just the tolerance in the machining. They know it, but the vendors cheat. They got it for half of what they were paying. So the new vendors, they don't care. That's why they went to the thinner oil to increase mile per gallon. They can only do so much. Your truck's already made out of recycled beer cans. Look at construction vehicles. They're dented, they're beat up. Why? Because they can't take the abuse. So many guys with Ford trucks pull up with ladder racks on them, and the back of the bed is splitting. There's a weld seam right behind the tailgate, and that's where the post goes. Well, if you have a Ford truck and you didn't go all the way down to the center bed and you have it sitting on your top rest on your bed, you better not put a lot of weight on that rack because it's going to fail. Ford knows it fails, but not enough people put ladder racks on the truck that way to justify reinforcing that weld joint.
Mr. Fat says they don't want us working on our cars, avoids the warranty.
Or you can buy a John Deere and it breaks down in the field and you can't even put a spark plug in it unless you have the app to fix it.
And Backwoods Billy said cars are being engineered to assemble quick and cheap.
Yeah, and that it's more than that. It's they need to go to the repair shops, Ford dealers, and talk to the mechanics.
And Joop said that's why I buy only old trucks.
I knew Joop was going to chime in on that. But it's the exact same thing in guitars, guys. That's why we try to find the diamonds in the rough. And I'll be honest with you, I don't want anyone to, I am hard on guitars. I am. I work hard for my money. But for the most part, guys, even if a guitar does bad on the channel, I can only think of maybe 6 or 7 guitars that I would just consider that this channel reviewed that I would just consider flat out trash. I mean, when I say they were trash, they were trash. The Leo James headless guitar we reviewed, that thing was trash. I mean, when I say trash, it wasn't good enough to be used as firewood. I mean, it was that bad. And there's been some other ones, but the Leo James one was the worst. But for the most part, they all come out of the box. They all play out of the box. They do what they're designed to do. It's a guitar. And for $120, $130, some of these guitars it's ridiculous that the thing even plays at that price point. I remember my father got me a guitar from Sears and Roebuck. I remember it's $200 some. And I got it, and the strings were so far off the fretboard, it was in another zip code. You couldn't play it. And he was like, "You're going to play that? I bought you that guitar. You play that and learn how to play that, I'll get you a better guitar." Hulk Hogan couldn't make that thing chord. It was bad. Now you can spend that kind of money and you can get a guitar that'll play, and a beginner can pick it up, play it, and learn. And it'll be a good learning guitar. That's when we do reviews, I want everyone to know that, okay? We are picky, and I want to tell you. So when I say, yeah, the pickups are weak or this is weak, I'm always pointing it out because I think the budget guitar crowd, they expect so much, and they want someone to say, yeah, the pickups are great, the tuners are great, it's got quality pots in it, the fit and finish is awesome. It's just like a Fender. It's just like a Jackson. It's not a Fender and it's not a Jackson. It's not. It's cheaper pickups, cheaper hardware, right down to the screws. I work on guitars. I can tell you, budget guitars, the screws are soft. It's soft metal. You take them apart, and I use the right screwdrivers. I use Japanese industry standard screwdrivers. And you can see it in the screw head. The material is so soft, you can, even if the screwdriver doesn't slip, you can see the deform on the Phillips drive. You can see it in the machining of the parts when you turn them over. They're just, it's not clean. They're not deburred. It's only cleaned and up where you see it. The finish on them, it's a very thin finish. How do I know? I've polished some of them. And the Firefly stuff, if you polish that chrome, boy, you can burn through that chrome finish real quick. If you buy a really nice Fender or a Gibson, you can polish the chrome. Can you burn through the finish? Sure, if you sit there and hold it. But the Firefly, you better be careful when you're cleaning the chrome, especially if you're using a polisher, because you're gonna go burn right through that thin plating. and it doesn't take much. It's thin. Why? It's cheap. It's not a Gibson. It's not a Fender. And I click on, it seems to be cooling off a little bit, or YouTube's finally realized that I just can't stand these certain channels pushing Leo James. The feed rate on my end has definitely went down. Maybe because the economy isn't too good and these budget companies aren't reaching out to them because they're not moving enough product on their little jam infomercial that they do as far as review. I don't know what it is, but I'm not seeing as much of it. But I used to get so pissed off. It's like, oh, put your money back. Don't buy a Fender. It's as good as a Fender. Half the cost of a Fender and twice as good. I have reviewed some really nice budget guitars. The West Creek, I thought it was a great guitar. It was like $280. But I don't expect it to have the same quality screws on it as my Epiphone Alex license that I had. I don't expect it to have the pickups in it that the Alex license had. I will say this, for $180, that was one heck of a guitar. How long are the tuners going to last? I don't know. I thought the guitar sounded good. The pickups would probably last a long time. The issues you'll probably have with it is the tuning keys. Okay? Tuning keys are something you're always moving. The bridge shouldn't fail. It shouldn't. It's a fixed bridge. I don't see it failing. It may tarnish quickly and get ugly. If you sweat a lot, I'm sure the finish on the ABR bridge is going to get nasty quicker. It depends on you. I can recommend that guitar because it was a heck of a guitar for the price. The guitar Trucker Bob just dropped off. It's got a baseball thick neck, but for $209, you're not going to get a better guitar with a fake Floyd Rose on it than that Leo James.
Got a super chat from Joop.
Ooh, thank you, Mr. Joop. If all you've got is $210 and you need a Floyd Rose clone, that's the only one I've ever played that did a pretty good job of coming back to zero. Did it go back to zero? No, it did not. Okay. But the guitar was far better than I really thought it was. It's far better than it has any right to be. Let me put it to you that way. Is it a guitar that I would buy? I don't know. I'm going to do a lot of work to the one downstairs. If I was going to do it, I would probably just get an Ibanez. Ibanez makes a black model with a Ibanez. It's the same bridge the Jim has, okay? And you can get that guitar for $399. All right, I already know the tuners are good. The electronics are good in it. I'd probably just buy that guitar and put a Godo in it and call it done. Okay, I'd have $500 in it. I'd take it to the bar. The Leo James, by the time you change the pickups, put tuners in it, and put the bridge in it, you're going to have $500 in it. Either way, I guess my point is, it doesn't matter how you get there, whether you buy the cheap instrument and you put a ton of work in it and you buy the parts, then you get here, or you buy a medium price guitar, you put a little bit of work in, a little bit of parts, and you get there, or you just buy a guitar, because you can get a guitar for $550 with a bridge on it. That'll be a dependable guitar. You can. They are out there. I think the Jim Jr. is one of them. I know some people claim the bridge goes out in about a year and a half. That would be my go-to. Maybe something like that, or a Solar. These are all going to have Floyd Rose specials, or or that new Floyd Rose bridge. I don't think there's any way around that until you get into the $850 price range before you start seeing a $1,000. So if you can buy a Jim and you're okay with the Quantums, okay, it's a lot of pickup variation there. Put $130 on it. That's all you need is the bridge. The lock nut's fine. Now you're at you're under 7 with the Godo. And it's HSH. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. It's up to you guys. I've got an RGA downstairs. I've got it torn apart. I'm putting pickups in it and changing the pots. I'll end up with, I'm doing guitar head pickups, which were $60 for the pair. So I think $12. CTSs went up. So probably 15, 20. Got a pure tone jack. I'm probably going to have 100. And then the bridge is another 100. 450, 550, 650. I'll end up right at $750 in the RGA. Yes, 700, probably right around $700. Can you buy a hardtail guitar for $700 all day long? We just looked at the Sire. It's got a hip shot bridge on it. It's got Sire pickups in it, but it's $499. Regular price is $650. It was on sale. So there are guitars out there. You could do something like that. Maybe have a little extra money to do some pickups. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. That's just kind of how I'm feeling about it. There's a bunch of different ways to do it. And you can go down that rabbit hole on amplifiers too. I like amps, but doing the streams, I think the modelers work. Now tonight we were doing Joop's guitar, so I said, well, we're going to use the tube amp. I wanted to hear these particular pickups in the tube amp, and I wanted to kind of show off how well the guitar is doing. So, but I think we're going to go back to using the modeler. It works good enough for what we're doing here. I saw Blue Matrix just put something up and it darted away. I want a Kramer Night Swan. Blue Matrix, I just sold one. I sold it for a good deal too. Not to rub it in, but I sold it a little over a month ago, hon?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, sold it for, I think it was $550. What was it? Or was it $5?
I don't remember.
It was either $500 or $550 I sold the guitar for. It was a good deal. And I put new strings on it, and I give it a fresh setup and cleaned it up for the guy. So, good deal. I'm seeing if I missed anything. Does Avery think those wacky digital guitars and those silly amps and that strange built-in speaker clown show guitar? Yeah, I think that's the best way of putting it, Mr. Fats. It's a clown show guitar. I do think that we're going to start seeing more guitars with built-in effects in them, because these new pedals, like the GP5, is this size. It's just one board, and it's got everything in it. I really do think more manufacturers are going to start shoving stuff like that in the guitar. And you could just it'll have a small preamp in it, and you can put your headphones on it. Especially traveling guitars, like a little mini headless guitar. I really see a company coming out with something with like a GP5 shoved in it, and you just literally plug your headphones on it, and it's your ultimate traveling guitar. Or you just run it to a clean amplifier, and all your effects are built into the guitar. And they can do it, and they can do a nice one. The Vailton GP5, it's stupid good for what's in that little thing. And they can easily shoehorn that into a headless or any other guitar. It's going to happen. Just like modelers. It's going to come down to tube amps are going to get so expensive. Not necessarily because of the cost. The less tube amps are sold, the less tubes are going to be manufactured. So as tube manufacturing decreases and more tube manufacturers go under, that's going to increase the cost of the tubes, and those people that have tubes are going to pay a premium for them. Then there's going to be a resurgence. People are like, I don't want this tube amp anymore. I'm not going to spend $300 on tubes to retube it. I'm just going to go with a modeler. I see that as a future too on tube amps. I get pretty good service out of tubes though. I'm not cranking, I'm not decreasing my voltage. I'm changing the bias on my amp. So I'm not red plating tubes a lot. But if you've got your amp set up that way, it can get expensive pretty quick. With a modeler, you can go in like Axe Effects and you can tell it to change the bias. You can turn the voltage down, and it's emulating what you're doing in your tube amp. Is it the same? I haven't played an Axe Effects. They say they're pretty good. I think it's close enough. It for someone like me, if I wanted to experiment with that, I'd far more likely to go down that rabbit hole than sit here and change the bias and play with the voltage on my expensive tube amp and end up destroying something or blowing tubes, or it's just too much. If I had an Axe Effects, I could tinker with all that and it would be fine. Yeah, JBL come up with that amp like 4 weeks ago. I was really surprised to see JBL come out with a little guitar amp. And it seems like they did their research. It's just like Boss. I was really surprised Boss went into the amp market. They gave us the Katana. So Katana's a heck of an amp. It changed the small amp world. The Katana's the biggest selling amplifier in a long time. They sell a piss out of that Katana. That's a good amp. Less crap to tote. Yeah, if you're talking about the shoehorn and the GP5 in it, I think so. I think that we're going to see that.
Billy said tubes are fragile and heavy to travel with, so if you gig, you can have a modeler or combo, Donner, Arena, multiple effects pedal, and a neural DSP or just the Donner.
Yeah, well, I've said it a million times. If I'm going out and playing, I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that. I'm probably going to take my little Line 6 HX Stomp. I'm going to run a thing I'm going to run the headphone out to a little FR or a powered PA speaker. That's going to be my monitor, and the main outs are going to go to front of house. There's my rig. I'm done. And it's simple. My little self-powered PA speaker right into the headphones. I mean, it's simple. That's all I would use. All right, guys. I think we're going to call it a night. I worked hard all day down in the shop. If you want, I do want to play Joop's guitar one more time. If you did miss it, here's Mr. Joop's guitar. And for those that are just now joining the stream, go down and hit the like button and think about subscribing. We work really hard here for your subscription. We're trying to grow the channel. This particular guitar was sent in. It has a Jason Becker humbucker here, stock Schecter pickup here, and an Area 51 DiMarzio right here. When you pull the push tone here, it switches it between a .047 and an 022 cap. When you pull this one, it takes the Jason Becker to single coil mode. All right, let me see what we got here. All right. I'm gonna check tune. I put these strings on about an hour before the stream. All right, I'm gonna turn this microphone off. We're gonna start out with the Jason Becker. I think it's 100% better. And we are playing through the Sedano slow. So this is the Sedano sound. I think it sounds really good. And if you don't know, please go back. This guitar is heavily modified. This has one of my custom bridges in it. This is based on a Floyd Rose 1000. It's really tricked out. It's stupid nice. This has the turbo bar on it. It has the upgraded block, stainless steel saddles, FR 1000 posts. It's a really sharp bridge. You can go back and look at the live show. It's how to build a better bridge. And we built two. We built a budget version. It's still far better than an FR 1000. And then we built this one, which is like really stupid nice. So hopefully you guys like it. This is also the guitar that we reshaped the back of the neck on. And the neck on this guitar has been cut down. It is super nice, super smooth. Just a really nice neck on this guitar. And I actually worked on the bridge a little bit, Joop, and I got it a little softer. That's about as soft as I can get it. I think if you're wanting something softer than this, I'm going to suggest getting a Kahler cam bridge. I think I've listened to you talk, and I really think a Kahler cam bridge would be the tremolo system for you. But it is a little softer. So that's as soft as I can get it. I mean, you might be able to do a little more, but I would have to order 10 or 15 different sets of springs at different ratios, different lengths, and you literally just have to sit and play with it. So I did change the two springs. It still only has two springs, but these springs are a lower rate, so they're stretched out more, so it gives you a little bit more play. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone that came in tonight, 100%. Without you guys, the stream's not possible. And I like that we get the exact same crowd. It means that I'm doing something that you guys want to see, and you guys realize that this channel is trying to be different. If you want to see something, or something that you see that I need to change, or something I need to work on, or a point of view that you feel that I'm missing, we're all learning. I'm at a certain journey in my musical, journey. I'm at a certain point. So my feelings and thoughts are based on servicing guitars, used to be a professional musician, and my general knowledge of running CNC machines and woodworking. So that's kind of where I get my information from. That's my little world. So I depend on you guys to post, to keep me in check and say, Avery, what about this or what about that? There are so many different ways of looking at things, and I think before we say this sucks or that sucks, we need to look at why someone feels something is better than this or that. They may have some really good thoughts on why I'm sure it is a good thought. They feel it's better. So maybe there's a reason, and it's something that we can apply to how we play, or a technique, or our amp settings in general.
Joop said just send the rack with it.
Just send the rack with it? Joop, you need to work on it, man. Start checking out reverb. You can get these, everyone talks about, before you spend $3,000 on a Friedman head, you could spend $4,000 and get that rack now.
And Devastator said send the Egnator with the Miles Kennedy.
If you look, guys, we didn't get there tonight. You guys are going to shoot me. Look, there's a mic right in front of the Egnator, and I had planned on plugging the Miles Kennedy into it tonight. Just ended up getting onto a tangent, but it was mic'd and ready. All I had to do was turn the amp on and engage the mic. Maybe this week. I definitely want to play the Miles Kennedy through it. I'm trying to think. We're getting there. There's a little. Well, I'm still way behind down in the shop, but I really want to play the Miles Kennedy after we put the new strings on it and after we fix the fret issues that it has. Joop, reach out to me on Discord, and I got to order some knobs for your guitar. I know you said black, so I'll put those on order either tonight or first thing in the morning. So I don't see where it would be any issues sending the guitar back to you next weekend, get it out to you, unless there's something else you wanted to do to it. But I think it's golden. And like I said, I ended up changing. It's all new electronics inside. Of course, I reused your switch in the old jack, but it has new caps, bleeds, and 2 new potentiometers. For me, when you start wiring and soldering and unwiring and soldering, and I'm testing things, heat is your enemy. Okay, and I had done so many different configurations trying to figure out what was going to work best. I didn't feel comfortable leaving the barn spots in it because I was testing. I was moving this to here, moving that to there, disconnecting it, trying this pickup. Heat's your enemy. And a soldering iron puts heat on it. So I elected to put all new stuff in it. So that's just me. I'm very picky about stuff like that. I don't want to send you a guitar that has had the ground on the side of the pot taken on and off 50 times. Heat's your enemy. And it's not good for a potentiometer. So this was mapped out, figured out, and then I soldered it according to what I'd done with the guitar over the last 2 or 3 months, trying to go, I got this. And I still had problems, believe it or not. I ended up, we used 3 CTS pots. When I put the first one in, I wired it and there was an issue. I brought it upstairs last night and plugged it in. And this is how confident I was. I never checked it. I wired it, stuck it together, put strings on it. Brought it upstairs, plugged it in. I'm like, okay, volume's down. No? Am I plugged? Oh, it's the button on the tuner. I push the button on the tuner. Is the amp on? Yeah. Wired the pot backwards. So, trash can. So this morning I got up and wired the pot the right way. In my little diagram, I had it right. But my little squirrel brain, I'm looking at the diagram and I'm laying the pot like this. And on the diagram, I had the stem up and I had the stem towards me. So I wired it in reverse. So before someone says, well, I never make a mistake, if you haven't made a mistake, you're not building something. And that's how I feel about that, because you will learn more by making a mistake. Everything that I can say that I've gotten pretty decent at, I made a lot of mistakes and I learned through it. And I think making that mistake teaches you. It teaches you next time, verify. Make sure I've got the pot in the same orientation as my diagram. Guys, I'm telling you, work through it. There's nothing complicated about it. I know JR Customs is posting some stuff on the Discord showing stuff that he just got in with a broken headstock. That might be something that you guys look at and go, oh, I'd never attempt that. Go out and get a cheap guitar and break the headstock off of it. Seriously. Glue it. Find out if it holds. See how close you can make that joint fit. That's how you learn. When you're wanting to learn how to level frets, get on Amazon, order yourself an $89 groat, and do a fret level on it. Recrown the frets. Put some pickups in it. It's a $90 guitar. You got scrap pickups that you pulled out of a guitar that you hot rodded. Those pickups are still better than what that groat come with. Okay? Like my Ibanez downstairs. Now I have 2 quantum pickups. Those are still good pickups. I could order a groat, slap those pickups in it, do a crown. You see what I mean? You've got a guitar somewhere that you've put pickups in. The stock pickups in that guitar were probably better than the ones that come in that, groat for $80. I think it's like $89. That's how we learn. Leveling and crowning frets and learning how to adjust your truss rod, that makes you a better musician. And it also starts to inform you on what you like. Do you like a perfectly straight neck? Do you like a neck with a little relief in it? I was always a relief player. I'm really leaning more and more towards less relief. I've got a couple guitars now that I play that the Schecter is perfectly straight. There's no relief in the neck. I set it up and it's perfectly straight. And it stays perfectly straight. It's a 7-piece neck on it. I haven't had to adjust the neck on that guitar. It's stupid. Some of my other guitars, okay, I could deal with a little relief. But I'm starting to dig the no relief neck. And I always played relief. I always put relief in my neck. I feel the difference. I kind of like the straight neck. I'm kind of seeing where people come from that. Again, that's a journey. Maybe you're one of those guys that still like a ton of relief. I don't know. But buy something like that, experiment, play with it, and learn. It's just as addicting as playing the darn thing, and learning music. There's a whole other avenue to music, whether it's hot rodding amplifiers, changing tubes, changing speakers, figuring out what does this and what makes that tick. I don't even go down that rabbit hole because that's an even bigger rabbit hole than modding guitars. So if you're into that, I will need you to go over to Discord and post in guitar and music equipment what you're working on. And I saw during break we have a new room. Devastator's added a new room. It's a for sale room. If you have equipment that you're wanting to sell, please go over there and post it. We get nothing. It's not like Reverb. You're dealing with the person that listed the product. But it helps our Discord and helps the community. If you have something you're trying to get rid of or something you're not using anymore, there might be somebody in there looking for that product, and you might be able to sell it instead of using Marketplace.
Steve added that room.
Oh, Steve added that room. Oh, he's got privileges now. I have to talk to Devastator about that. Just kidding. That's what it's about, guys. It's about community, and I think it's a good idea. I don't know why no one thought about adding a for sale room. Just the instruments that come through here that we review, that would be a good place to put them. Put them on there, and maybe I also thought about doing a reverb room, for music and gear. But reverb takes so much. It's actually ridiculous what reverb takes. So I haven't went down that rabbit hole yet. All right, guys, again, I want to thank everyone for coming in. If you haven't already, please go down, hit the like button, and subscribe, and go check out some of the other videos that's on this channel. And I want to thank everyone that came in, especially those that gave a super chat. That's what funds the channel and allows us to buy instruments and giveaway guitars. Oh, that reminds me. If you're not entered in on the giveaway, it's a Gretsch. You got to be publicly subscribed to this channel. You've got to go over to Discord and go to the giveaway room and say, I want to be entered in the guitar giveaway. Okay? If your name is different than the name on YouTube, if your name's different on Discord, please put I go by such and such on YouTube. That way Devastator, myself, or Steve can verify that you are subscribed to the channel. All right, guys, I want to thank everyone again. I think I said that a couple times. I keep thinking about stuff that I'm supposed to say and to close out the chat. I will see everyone before Thursday. We're going to do a stream before Thursday. I guarantee it. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow night. It'll either be tomorrow night or Monday night. I wish I knew. My thought is I really want to get the RGA up and running, and I want to do a demo on the RGA. So it may not be tomorrow night, might be Monday night, but I'm hoping to have the RGA back together. We'll see. All right, guys, thanks a lot. And remember, head over to Discord, leave some comments down below. That helps the AI. And we're going to go to our 5-minute ending window. I got to figure out which one it is, because I changed a bunch of stuff. I think it's this one. Thanks again.
Joop said check your email instead of Discord.
Email? Who uses email?